Hey everyone, my name is Katie Wood. This is my first YouTube video and it is going to be over tips for college. I have some friends who are going into college this year and I have a cousin who's going into college this year. So I thought it might be helpful to kind of combine all the things that I found to be helpful throughout my freshman year, but also things that my friends found to be helpful so that it can be out there for other people. A little bit more about me. I'm going into my sophomore year at Florida Southern College down in Florida, and I'm majoring in communications, in media strategies and production, and advertising and public relations. Hopefully this channel can kind of help me gain experience within this field, but also help people who are going into college or in their college years, or just provide entertainment for people who want to watch it. I grouped all of these tips into different categories. I have a move-in category, a studying category, a friends category, and then kind of just like a junk drawer general overview category of everything. So I guess that is it. I hope you enjoy this video and I hope it makes sense, and I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Yay. The first tip that I have is within the move-in category, and it is to not buy everything you think you'll need before you get to your dorm. So a main example I would say would be some people buy chairs for their dorms and then they get there and realize that they don't have space because they see pictures of the dorms on like Instagram or the website and they look really spacious, but once you get there it's crammed. I actually had a pretty spacious dorm because I was in a double, but by the time I moved everything in and got everything situated, I wouldn't have had room for a chair without going into my roommate's space. So luckily I didn't bring a chair, but that's kind of just an example. Wait until you kind of get into your dorm and get a feel for it before you go crazy and buy a whole bunch of shelves or furniture or stuff, because you might not actually have the room. A second tip that kind of goes in with that are dishes. I thought I was going to be using paper plates and bowls and utensils, but then I was eating at the cafeteria every night, so I didn't even use them. But I did use paper towels, so definitely get those. That also goes in hand with cleaning supplies. Don't buy cleaning supplies until you get there. I'll give a personal example to that. Before I went to college, I used bar soap instead of body wash, and my mom bought like a 24 pack of bar soap, and then I got to college and realized that body wash is so much easier than bar soap. So I had like 24 little things of bar soap sitting in my drawer for the entire year, and I just used body wash the entire year. So go the first week of school and see what you actually need before getting it and bringing it to school. I hope that makes sense. The next tip that I have in the move-in category is to not rush things. I've only been through the move-in part of college once, so I'm not an expert on this, but this is a huge tip that I recommend looking back. Take your time with things, and when you move in, make sure to get the things that you need to get done first. So while you have your parents there, have them help you set up like some of the furniture that you bring. I have a set of drawers that I brought to college and I didn't necessarily want to set it up myself. So before my parents left with my sister, I had them build it for me. Some people bring in TVs and they don't know how to set up a TV. So just do the big things when you move in while you have your parents, and then leave the smaller things until like afterwards, because pretty much after your parents leave, you're kind of like, what do I do now? I waited until everyone left so that I could hang up the stuff on my wall so that I had something to occupy myself with while they were driving back to our home. That doesn't make sense. Hanging up your clothes and putting up your decorations can wait, so that when you are waiting for classes to start and you feel a little bit scared, you have things to do. Okay, this next tip in move-in is actually from my friend Sammy. She sent me some of the tips that she thought were helpful when she was moving in, and it was just make your space feel like home. Bring things that you know will make you happy. I have a little cork board that I put pictures of my cousins, my sister, and like my dog, my cat, and my family on. So it was something that I could have that made it feel like home. Get like fun pillows. My dorm is actually kind of a replica of my room here. I have the same sheets, I have a white comforter, and I bring my calendar and some of the decorations that I have in here. I bring them to college so that it's kind of just my room in a different room, if that makes sense. So that was from Sammy. And then another tip that Sammy said is just start off the year with good habits. If you have routines that you do at home, make sure to try to incorporate those into your schedule when you're at college. This tip is from my friend Lewis, and he actually has audio for it, so I'll insert his audio of him explaining the tip.
I guess for classes, I would say kind of the obvious tip: don't buy your books until after the first day of class, and asking the professors if you actually need them, because it's kind of just a waste of money. Even in classes that say the books are required, sometimes they're not even required, and the professor will tell you you don't even need them. So just wait on that. All you'll really need in class is computer, pen and paper. So I would say is just get a notebook, grab a pen, unless you're like an art major, then you'll need more.
This one is actually kind of annoying. My professors, at least, they knew that people would wait to get their textbooks, so within the first 2 weeks or so, they would provide snippets of the book during class, so you can kind of get a feel for how much you use it. Not all professors are like that, but I fell victim to getting my books before class started, and I still have my empty chemistry book that I didn't use. It was only $35, but I still didn't use it, and my sister just said that she did that too, and she's behind the camera. It happens, and that's Lewis's tip. Okay, this starts studying, yay. And the first tip is Jenna's tip, and she actually took a video of herself explaining it. I'll let her explain it now.
My tip would be don't cram all your studying in, space out all your studying, because number one, it's way less stressful, and it is also psychologically proven that if you space out your studying, you remember things more, so I suggest that. Going with the spacing out studying thing, another obvious one is to not procrastinate, because that's a huge issue that I know a lot of people struggle with, but so most of the time, the professors at the beginning of the course will give you a schedule that will cover the entire semester or quarter, and that'll have like the due dates for all the exams, papers, like all that stuff. So you'll have like a set timeline beforehand. So if you just kind of follow that and do all of your work like up front instead of cramming it into the last minute, you'll probably end up getting a better grade. It's easier on you, it's way less stressful.
This next one, I actually have a video that I took during the school year. I'm just going to kind of re-say it and then put in the part of the clip that makes sense. When you're in college, you're learning for yourself, and yeah, I mean, you have professors and you have their rules and everything, but you are the one paying for your education, so you get to decide how you learn. I explained it very poorly in the video, but I'll put in the clip that makes sense.
Hello. It is currently March 24th, 2022, and I have another tip. A few days ago, I was going to biology class, and she had previously said that that game was going to be a board game we were going to play to kind of review the topics we were going over in class. We were learning about the different evolutions of different animals and different kingdoms and classes, things like that. But I also felt very behind in what I knew about those animals and the kingdoms, so I checked to see if she had an assignment for the board game, which she did not, and from that point I basically decided to skip class so that I could use that time to actually study and learn the concepts rather than playing a board game about the concepts. In my eyes, I think it's more important that I know the concepts and learn them and memorize them for the test rather than using the time to just play a board game that won't really increase my knowledge about it, if that makes sense. Obviously, I don't mean skip every single class and watch Netflix during that time. At the end of the day, this is your education, and you are here to learn for you. Everyone has different learning styles. This kind of sounds controversial, and I know that. That's my tip. I'm about to go on my tour, and it is raining, so.
Some of these next few tips are from my friends Evelyn and Alina from high school. Evelyn says to ask questions if you're lost. And this one's kind of one that you hear every stage of school, I feel like, but it is still something that's important for when you get to college. Professors still care if you feel behind or are understanding the concept that they're learning. Most times, I know this is like something that everyone says, but if you are confused about it, someone else is confused about it. Biology class very much held that statement up for me. But the worst that they can say is that they can't help you, which would be like for an exam or something. My bio professor, she had a teaching style that was very much like high school, which is why I really enjoyed that class, because she would have her PowerPoint and her lecture, but then built into them, she would have slides that would ask a question where it would literally say pair share, and you would just like partner up with someone around you and you would just answer the question. But it really helped. And the next one is from Evelyn and Alina, and that is just to make at least one friend in your class, because if you miss a day, most professors probably won't give you the work to make up. If you make a friend, you can ask them for what you did or what you learned. Also, if it's a partner project, you have someone that you know you can go to work with, and you can do homework together. This next tip is from Alina, and she says that getting a grade lower than an A is okay, and I would strongly agree with that one. And she also just kind of said being an all-A student in high school does not mean that you're going to be an all-A student in college. I failed a lot of my tests in my biology class, but I was still learning and I was still gaining the education. It's okay to fail exams sometimes, because I did, and I made it out with a perfectly fine GPA. And as long as you're not giving up and slacking on it, then you shouldn't beat yourself up, because like I was saying earlier, your education is your education, and if you figure out that you learn at a slower pace than someone else, that's okay, and you shouldn't compare your pace of learning to someone else's pace of learning, because that's what I did a lot. Grades never define you. It's just important to remember that if you fail an exam, it's okay, and you will build yourself back up, and don't beat yourself up over it. This one is again from Evelyn, Alina, and I. It's okay if you switch your major. So I will give personal statement for this, because I went into college as a biology student and I very quickly realized that it was not for me. So now I'm in, as I said, communications. So it's very different from biology. A lot of people come in and they're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then they just realize that they don't like it, and that's fine. It's scary to realize that, but it's fine if you switch your major, because it just means that you're learning more about yourself, and that's kind of exciting. I thought since 7th grade that I was going to be a marine biologist, and then I got to college and I started learning marine biology, and I realized that I did not enjoy it as much as I thought. I just liked watching the documentaries. Don't keep yourself in something that you just don't enjoy learning about. Talk to your advisor, tell them the issues that you're having, and then they'll help you. They're there to help you. So don't be afraid to switch your major.
Hello. So I just got back actually from a little cafe from studying. I really recommend finding a place off campus, off your college campus. Doesn't have to be far, just somewhere that you can go get away from the school atmosphere. You know, you're living at school, so it's kind of important to find somewhere that's not school to do your homework. That makes sense. Like in high school, you would go to school, but then you would come home and you have your home to do your homework, you know? So it's kind of like that, where even though I have my dorm, sometimes my dorm can be like, I'm at school right now, I'm not at home. Having the little cafe off campus, it's only like a 5-minute walk. It's really nice. Takes me off campus a little bit, just to kind of get me out of the feeling of being at school, because I know that can kind of get toxic. So I just recommend that. Hi. I have another tip. In your dorm, you don't really have a lot of places to like put your chair, depending on how big your room is. Find some way to not sit on your bed. Like, I know my desk, I don't want to sit at that if I'm like watching a movie. So I have this like chair thing on my bed, and normally it's at the end. When you sit on your bed, you get the feeling that you're in bed. So when you're trying to go to bed, you won't actually go to sleep. It has something to do with like your psychology and stuff. I just recommend having somewhere else that you can sit. Like, I sit at the end of my bed and I sit up straight with this thing instead of laying in bed, because that can really kind of inhibit your focus. And then when you are trying to sleep, you're just thinking about homework because you've been doing homework. You know what I'm saying? So that's my tip. I'm about to have a movie night though, so it doesn't count.
This next category is over friends. So this is a very large category. So I'm gonna kick it off with one that is kind of scary when you first get to campus, which is pretend that you're not anxious when you're trying to meet people. So I don't consider myself to be a very outgoing person, and I didn't want to leave my dorm at all until classes started, but I did, and I met my friends within the first weekend. Everyone is anxious when you get to school. You just have to remember that all of the freshmen that you meet are in an entirely new environment and in a new situation, and it's a change that they're going through. So everyone is desperate to find a friend. Remember that and use that to your advantage. So talk to everyone. I would make conversation with people like in line when I was getting food or something. And I also was very lucky to meet a friend, her name's Ellie, and she is so good at talking to people. So I honestly found a lot of my friends through Ellie. So thank you, Ellie. It will go a long way and you will meet a lot of friends that way. And you'll also push yourself out of your comfort zone. Just have fun, and your funness will bring other people. The next one is very relatable to me, is just eat dinner with people. I had an orientation group for the first weekend and we all ate dinner together. Also, my friend group now eats dinner every night together. When you find your group, continue to hang out, do fun things, eat dinner together, study together, walk campus together, do everything to just kind of build relationships right away so that you know you have people and you have a community that you can like eat dinner with and share conversation with. That also kind of plays into the next tip that I have, which is really important, and it's to not listen to your instinct, I guess. So if you feel like you're anxious about talking to someone, or if you feel anxious about the group that you're in or uneasy about who you're around, then listen to it, because I promise you that means that they're not the friends for you. I was partially in a little group at the very beginning of school and I was like, I really hope that these people aren't the friends that I'm gonna hang out with, and then they weren't. So if you feel any sort of like about someone, leave, because I promise you college is the place where you can completely redefine your friendships. Lean into that, because if you just continue hanging around the people who make you anxious, you're not gonna enjoy hanging out with them. So if you even just have to wait a week or a month or however long it takes to find people who you feel comfortable hanging out around, it's worth it, because that means that they're your friends and not someone that you just hang out with to say that you have people to hang out with. I really hope I said that correctly and in the right way. This next category is just kind of the general overview category, so they're not really specific to any other category. This one is also from Alina. Don't get caught up in peaking in college. I know that's kind of something that is hyped up in the culture of today's society. She was kind of saying that it's important to not compare your college years with anyone else's college years, because everyone has different experiences, and that might come from where you go, but it also might come from the friends you hang out with. There's obviously going to be some sort of imperfection with where you go or what you're studying or whatnot. So everyone's college life is different, so don't get caught up in trying to peak in college.
Tip number 2 is to not create expectations, because things won't go as expected. Bad things will happen, good things will happen, especially with things like making friends and stuff, like saying I will have met my people within at least the first 2 months of school, because then you'll be broken down if you don't have your first friends in the first couple months of school.
This next tip is from Sammy, and it's just it's okay to be homesick. When you are homesick, it's okay, but don't resort to comfort, because college is kind of a time where you're like on your own, and you can be more on your own and become more independent and create the life that you want.
So this kind of goes with one of the tips. You can probably tell I've been crying. I guess just one of my tips is homesickness is going to happen. I have like a month left of school and I'm still homesick. I was fine earlier today. I went out to breakfast and then I had an interview for something here on campus. So, I mean, it was a good morning, but now it's kind of just about to storm and I'm in my dorm and I'm not really doing anything and I'm kind of getting homesick. Allow yourself to be homesick because it's natural to feel that way when you move out. Obviously it still affects me and it's almost like school's almost done, but that's just a tip.
The next tip is just to be aware that things will change between the first semester and the second semester. My first semester was insane, but it was really fun and there were a lot of late nights and stuff. But then once I got back home for the winter break, it was like I had to readjust to having my own time and not doing something every single second of the day. And then when you get back from Christmas break, it's like a completely different semester. Second semester hits and it's like you're there for school more than acclimation to the campus. It doesn't get more boring, it just gets more like relaxed in the sense of you're not doing everything every night of the week, if that makes sense. Also, you will change between the first semester and the second semester in so many different ways that I can even describe. My friend group changed with people's schedules because some people have night classes. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but just know that your first semester will be different from the second semester, not necessarily in a bad way. The next tip is from Lewis, and he has another audio clip, so I will play that one now.
Tip number 3 is to just continue to be thankful. Find joy in what you do have, at least. Be thankful that you're even at college. That it's a privilege, it really is.
That is the end of this video and all of the tips that I had from my friends and my sister. I really hope that I covered everything that was important. This was my first YouTube video, so I hope I can make some more while I'm in school. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon maybe. I don't know. Bye.